Welcome to the WealthGenius Podcast. The WealthGenius Podcast. Strategies for multifamily real estate investing, mindset, community, success. The WealthGenius Podcast with your host, the godfather of real estate, Alfonso Cuadra, who has expansive experience in business and massive success as a real estate investor. The WealthGenius Podcast. Let's dive into today's episode.
Wow. Look at us. We're here.
We are here.
Hello, hello.
Good
happy
to,
to be here.
Yeah, good to have you here. The Godfather is also happy. The little Godfather. Somebody could say they look a little bit like you, but you know,
Just need the chin strap, you know?
I can't do this here. I can't do this, so I got some beer envy. But the thought of having this podcast came about, and we talked with all the people that are going to be involved, and I'm like, okay, who would be my ideal? We're shooting this season. It's 11 or 12 people that I want to interview, and it could be just one season. We don't know where it's going to go. And so I said, okay, if I was going to do this, who would be my people? And you guys were at the top of that list.
Wow.
As you know, I care so much about you, and I'm your biggest fan. I'm your biggest cheerleader, So I want to have that conversation because I know that you guys could inspire people to take action, get into real estate, especially from your backgrounds. I mean, you guys left jobs. That takes a lot of guts. Not anybody can just do that, right? And so, this has been a big, long journey for you guys, and I want to dive a little deeper on that journey. But we're going to get to that. I want to talk a little bit about pivoting, because you're on this journey, you're investing in real estate, you leave your jobs, right?
Yeah.
And you have like this vision of what you want to do. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life.
We had it figured out
Yeah.
And
for about a month or so.
yeah, and then interest rates.
Yeah.
Right. And everyone got the slap of the interest rates. And so, some people, were crushed. A lot of people took L's, but you guys pivoted, right?
Yeah.
And you just changed the strategy, right? Changed the strategy to make it into a win, but even a bigger win than you would have had if you would have continued with the old strategy. So let's start there. I don't know, maybe let's start with Dakota sharing a little bit about that story.
Yeah. So before we were in this multifamily space, we were doing a lot of flipping. So that was great when the market was hot. Houses were selling super easily. They were going over market. Life was great. We were like, we're going to make a ton of money off of all these flips. And I think having not gone through a market shift yet in our investing careers, we didn't really know when to stop acquiring new flips. So we got a couple that were a little bit later in the hot season, maybe we'll call it, and did the flips. And by the time they were done, unfortunately, the market had shifted. So interest rates are going up. People are scared to buy.
Nobody's buying anymore.
Nobody's buying. Buyers are terrified. The market's going down. We actually listed one of the properties, I think, right as the first interest rate hike happened. And as we had it listed, we were trying to drop the price, and the interest rate would go up.
So you're doing this. This is the interest rates.
Yeah.
The timing for every single price drop, there was an interest rate change right after.
Yeah.
And if you would have price dropped before that interest rate, if you would have started where you ended up, you probably would have sold these properties.
Yeah, we would have been fine. And we couldn't catch the interest rates
It's
going
like trying
up.
to catch a falling knife.
Yeah, so we were in a private mortgage. We were paying out of pocket for this mortgage, right? Because they're supposed to be flips. There's no income coming in. They're just sitting there vacant. And we're just bleeding money every single month.
There's two single family homes that we had flipped. Renovations complete. And together it was $10,000 a month in interest payments.
Yeah, and remember, we don't have a job.
Shit is going down, okay, for the lack of better words. Like, how much stress does that put on your relationship?
A lot.
It does.
A lot.
There was such a grind, though, that it almost didn't even feel that much pressure on the relationship. But stress levels.
So
were
you
high.
guys were able to
sure.
come, like, I guess, communicate, because I don't think a lot of people could do that.
We
you
were in
know?
it together, and we
Yeah.
knew we were in it together. It's not like one person made a mistake and there's resentment. It's, we're both in this together.
I love that. And so this is happening. What are you feeling? Like, what's the feeling like?
Stress was high. We saw the bank account going down, and we were like, we need to fix this. But we didn't know what the fix was because we didn't want to do a long-term rental and then the market, comes back up, or the interest rates go down, and now we're stuck with this long-term tenant, because that wasn't going to be the plan. It also wasn't going to cover our private mortgage.
And to sell a tenanted property is not the same as selling a brand newly renovated top to bottom property.
Yeah, so we were going through all these options. Do we furnish it? Do we try to do short-term rental? But in Ottawa, you can't do short-term rental. So do we try to MacGyver a way that we can do short-term rental with them? So we're going through all these options to try to figure this out. But we were scrambling. There was nothing that was coming out that was clear.
I feel like we were spinning our tires, right? We were going in circles. Just trying to,
which most people, I think it's fair, because most people are trying to survive. Yeah. People are going to do whatever they have to do to survive.
Yeah. We knew that we wanted to get through it. We knew that this was something that we had to do, because we knew this wasn't going to be the last properties we had. We knew that this wasn't going to take us out.
We weren't going to let ourselves fail.
Yeah. And that was what we told ourselves when we left our jobs. At the beginning of that year,
we're in it to win it.
Yeah, we are we're gonna take this leap of faith. We're not gonna let ourselves fail. And suddenly, months later, we're in this situation that we're like, oh man, we could fail. We could fail right now. But yeah, we were in it together. We knew that we wanted to do real estate, that we had to figure it out, because this was not going to be what took us out. So thankfully, through a lot of discussions with you and trying to brainstorm on how to make this work, we finally came up with a solution, but it took a really long time. And we tried different strategies.
We're talking 5 months.
Yeah, we tried to do a rent to own with it. We actually did furnish one of them, which is a whole other story, but we furnished it in 48 hours with $2,000. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, full house. We furnished the whole thing in 24 hours with $2,000.
And what was the objective? Just buy time. By time. So the idea
short-term rental or medium-term rental.
It was to do a medium-term rental, just to create something, some kind of income to at least patch the bleed, so we could figure out how to do this and not just stress about bleeding.
Yeah. And you're not the only one that went through that, right? There's people that got completely wiped out during that time, right? And you guys just held on strong enough to even see the solution, see the other side.
Yeah.
So that's incredible. So
it definitely helped having you in our corner.
Yeah.
That really helped. And I think actually one of the smartest things that we did, and as we tell the story, I'm kind of realizing it, was to reach out to you just before all of this happened. Obviously that wasn't the intention, but
it was good times.
Yeah.
It was life was good,
Yeah.
I remember we started a coaching program. We were, obviously the objective was to buy multifamily, but then we had to, we obviously had to pivot.
Yeah,
that ended up being the main focus.
And that's important, right? Because we had this discussion a lot, but you can't grow when you're stuck in this spot of confusion and survival, and you're just you're gripping with your fingertips just to hang on. You can't grow out of that because you're stuck. Your brain is full of this fear, basically, of what's going to happen if we don't figure this out. So it probably took longer than we wanted it to, but it was so important to get to where we are now, where we are able to grow.
Let's talk about the strategy. A flip to joint venture. What you've done is you've restructured the deal, so you're going to add more units, right? So you brought on a partner that can help you with the qualifying power, and then it's going to be a home run, right? Yep. And so for people that are wondering, how does this kind of work? People that are looking for maybe ideas or options to, fix a situation or how to make it a home run. So kind of go through that process.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, if you're watching this and you're like, why didn't you just refinance the property and get out of your private mortgage? That makes the most sense.
We don't have jobs.
Yeah, we didn't have T4s, right? So we couldn't just walk into this property and that would have been a great solution, but we couldn't go to the bank and say, hey, can I get a mortgage? Can you give me this great interest rate? And, we'll rent it out and we'll be fine.
Because the idea was not to keep it.
That's right.
That wasn't the original idea. The idea was to flip it. So
and our flips were the longest flip I think was probably 4 months or something like that. So you're not holding on to the private mortgage for that long.
Yeah.
And so it actually makes sense to pay that amount of interest to have the ease of financing.
Yeah. So now we're trying to restructure this. We can't get that mortgage. So the idea is now bring on somebody who can. So someone who does have a strong T4. I always say someone that the bank is going to love. So we decided to bring someone on that could qualify for that mortgage, which is where the flip to JV comes in. We basically sold him the properties in like an unofficial, official way, sold him the properties, but through a joint venture maintained ownership, like majority ownership of the property. So gave him some equity, and then we were able to maintain ownership.
So you reduce the interest, which now the deal makes sense.
Yeah.
And now you're going to go and improve the asset, where now it's going to be a cash flowing asset.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because now we're adding units to the property as well.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 2 tenants under each roof.
Yeah, and thankfully that's actually how we started in real estate, was adding units to single family homes. So
Yes, we just went back to our roots.
Yeah, but it was something that we were comfortable with.
Yeah.
So now suddenly we're in this super uncomfortable, we were in this super uncomfortable situation, bleeding money, very stressed. We bring on this partner and suddenly we're doing something that we're super comfortable with that we can do no problem.
Yeah.
So,
And we're no longer bleeding.
Yeah, so we got some other financial partners who came on as equity partners. No more private mortgages or private lending on these properties. So brought on some equity partners for it. And we're actually in the middle of doing the renovations now. Called in the old reno team that were like, hey, you thought we left. Come back and do some SDUs for us. And yeah, now we're doing something that we know well, we're comfortable with, and it's going to be a great project for us, a great project for all the partners involved. Actually, my mom is one of the investors, and she gets to own equity in a property.
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful.
Yeah, so
it's a win-win-win-win-win.
It totally is.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so now, I mean, the transition now that you know, like you can breathe, you know, $6 million property, 24 units, looking at, you know, multiple millions of dollars in real estate, you know, I mean, you guys are like true investors, like building your portfolio. And so let's fast forward, you guys leave your jobs. Like real estate as an idea is one thing, but you know, did you submit resignation letters? And what was that like? Did you do it together?
Nope. Dakota did it. So okay, it was we have to back up, I think, a little bit for this. By the way, none of this started with wanting to be entrepreneurs, right?
Yeah.
This was, let's buy some properties so that we can kind of supplement and have kind of a retirement plan with that.
Yeah.
So it was supposed to be just a side gig.
And then the side gig got very, very busy because we had 4 projects, 4 flips happening at the same time while we were also in our full-time jobs.
Yeah.
And because we thought we were going to be ultimate flippers and make a bunch of money off of that, which
HGTV.
we now know that didn't quite happen.
Actually, a company did reach out to us.
Okay.
To do something like
That,
that.
I see that. I see that. I
Yeah.
see you guys as a show. You know?
Maybe one day, we'll see. But it got really busy, and we were like, you know what? If we're going to do this seriously, we need to be able to invest the right amount of time into it.
Yeah, one of us needs to leave our jobs.
One of us needs to leave our jobs. And it went back and forth a lot. There was the Jeff will leave first, and then I'll go on maternity leave in like a year, 2 years, and then just never go back.
Maternity
So-
leave. So you guys were really like,
We were 4 years into our relationship.
Yeah, we were engaged. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were, this was like also planning
so,
a wedding.
so yeah, you had a whole
This.
plan like laid out here. You know?
Yeah. So
You look like planners.
a little bit. It went back and forth, like he'll leave first, I'll leave first. I was in healthcare in COVID. That was really tough. And Jeff could see what it was doing to me from a mental health perspective. So he was like, you know what? You need to get out of the hospital. You need to get out of healthcare. Why don't you leave first? So we finalized it. I put in my 2 weeks notice. It felt so good.
This was in December?
It was in December, and I did it in a way that they wouldn't give me one of my days off for my holidays. So I did it in a way that my last day was the day before. They wouldn't give me off. I was
That's not spiteful at all.
Anyways, I put in my 2 weeks. It felt really good. So now I'm out of my job. Jeff is still in his job. Then
I was watching you.
Were
Do
you
the
a
work.
little jelly?
Yes,
Jeff was
of
a
course.
little jelly.
Of course. But I was also watching, and Dakota was still very busy. and I wanted to help, but I was stuck in my office doing meetings and stuff that I didn't care about, right? As time went on, I started to resent my job more and more because I was trying to build something and that was getting in the way at this point. So I think I lasted a month.
Yeah.
The plan was 1 year, right?
The plan was a year.
1 year, and then I was going to leave.
So you write these letters.
The timing was right.
The second you press send, what are you feeling?
It was mixed. The whole time, the whole process, I was like, I need to get out of here. I don't want to be in this position anymore. And then when it actually came to sending the letter, it was really hard because medicine was a job, but it was also supposed to be my career, right? Like medicine was something that I specifically went to school for, I specifically graduated for. And in the end, I still loved the medicine component of it. There were just other pieces of it that obviously didn't work out very well. So it was hard because I was like, this was like 6 years of my life that I put into being in this job, in this career. So actually submitting it was really tough. But once I did, I think I still had some mixed emotions because I was like, should I have just gone to, like, maybe I'll just go to another job, another medical job. Maybe like this one wasn't right. So I was still having these like back and forth, like, am I really going to give up 6 years of this, of like training for this, and then 6 years of working in this career? I got over it pretty quickly. And then I was really excited once the back and forth went, left my head.
So same question for you. You're about to press send.
So I think when I pressed send, I was excited. Pure excitement because I analyze things. So I'd already done all that kind of self-talk beforehand.
Yeah.
So I knew that was kind of what I wanted to do. We also had 4 flips on the go, right?
Yeah.
So we saw the potential in what that was going to bring.
Yeah.
And so we thought, okay, I have RRSPs from my time in my career. I'd also been like laid off from IT jobs. So it wasn't like my first big job out of school. So I had been through multiple companies. So it wasn't like that big of a deal, I guess, to leave one job and then maybe just go find another one if I absolutely had to. But I knew that I had RSPs.
So it was like, okay, it was a relief that now you could work on these projects,
Exactly.
you know?
Yeah. Have the
And
time
so,
to do it.
I mean, I feel that's so inspiring. I know that whoever's ever watching this and they're holding on to their job or whatever. By the way, we're not telling people to leave their jobs, but if it's something you need to do, this is what you got to do. And I definitely, want to congratulate you guys for, making that decision early versus holding on to something. And maybe when all of this would have been happening, maybe you wouldn't have fought as much. You wouldn't have rose up to the occasion, So what are tips?
So the first one is going to tie into my second one. So the first one is to remove the ceiling that you've probably created for yourself. I think a lot of people think that they can't do things, and it's all in here. So if you're able to remove that ceiling and think of what the potential is and what the potential that you could live up to could be, it's a really incredible feeling. And I think so many people are living with this artificial ceiling that they've created for themselves.
Yeah.
And to go along with that, so like, how do you get rid of it? Which is not the easiest thing. I'd say to get into the right rooms. So make sure that you people always say, don't be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person, you're in the wrong room. Get out of that room. Get into a room that you're surrounded by people doing bigger things than you are, because then you're going to be able to step into that space. So you're going to be able to step out of that ceiling. And then the other thing is build your resiliency because
it's not for the faint of heart.
No, it is not.
No.
So like, it's gonna kick you down. It's gonna be hard. So figure out what's gonna make you resilient, what's gonna get you to push through those like really hard times, because there will be. I don't care what HGTV looks like. I don't care what social media
Flips
looks like.
don't happen in 30 minutes.
They don't. It's hard. It is hard work, and things suck sometimes.
Yeah.
But you have to figure out what's going to make you resilient and what is it that's going to push you through those hard times. So I think those are the...
I love that. It's important. Jeff?
I think changing your circle, or not necessarily changing it, upgrading it, but you want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yes.
People that are inspiring you.
Yes.
And not just trying to keep you down. You always talk about the crab bucket, right? You don't want to be hanging around with the crabs or the pigeons.
The
right?
naysayers.
The naysayers, yeah.
So quickly, quotes, phrases, proverbs that have inspired you. We'll start with Dakota.
So I don't know if you know this, but I use this a lot if I do talks, if I do presentations, and it's something that you said at a boot camp. You say versions of it often, but I think it was probably a year ago actually this time, and you said, want more to give more. And that has stuck with me ever since you said it at, I think, a boot camp about a year ago. And I have a slide actually that moves into a bunch of my different presentations. It doesn't matter what the presentation is about, it is my last slide. And I thought that was so beautiful coming from a place of like a career of service, right? And trying to figure out how I can still be of service in the world of real estate. Because everyone looks at real estate investors and they're like, they're out there to make money, they're out there to fill their pockets. And I thought that was such a cool thing that you said was, if you're somebody who is scared of wanting more, you're probably the person that should have more.
Yes.
Because if you want more for other people and therefore are holding back what you want, if you are the person that's going to have more, you are going to spread that.
You're going to be able to give more.
If anything, those people that are trying to hold themselves back because they don't want to take up too much space, they should take up that space, because then they are going to give that to other people. And I just thought that was such a beautiful thing and such a great way to look at entrepreneurship and, like in our case, real estate investing. And it gave me a space to want more and to be able to be from a position of service within the real estate world. So
love it.
Yeah.
Jeff?
Mine's gonna be a lot shorter.
Normally it is. You can tell who likes to talk.
You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And it's true. I always tell people, take inventory of the people that are around you, because people's lives are a direct reflection of the expectations of their peer groups. Change your peer groups, change your life.
Absolutely.
Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. I know you're going to inspire a lot of people. How can people reach out to you?
I think social media, Facebook.
Yeah.
We're on Instagram.
Yeah.
We have a website.
All the stuff will be underneath.
Yeah.
And I always say, it's great to reach out on Facebook and Instagram, but book a Zoom call with us.
Yeah.
Or if you're
Our calendar's on our website.
we're pretty accessible. So get on
Yeah.
Zoom, even if you're I don't know what we'll talk about, I don't know what value we can add, just have a conversation.
Yeah.
We're
I
always
love
looking
that.
to connect with new people.
Yeah.
Alfonso loves you. Alfonso loves you, and we'll see you all at the top. Woo!
Thanks for listening to the Wealth Genius Podcast. If you have a question or comment about something you heard today, reach out to the Godfather via social media or email him anytime. All that information is in the show notes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Wealth Genius Podcast. The Wealth Genius Podcast. Until next time, see you at the top.